Alright, so I'm back at the garage. It's been 2 weeks since my last here, between working hours, a lot of hours at work, and kids. Haven't had time to come, but I'm making time now. So I just got this wheel off. I couldn't get it off the last time I was here. This one, it come off fine. And I got the suspension undone. I just pulled the spring out to relieve the pressure there and put all like loosely back together. But note to self, do not use an extension when these lug nuts were really tight. Like somebody torqued the shit out of them. But I had an extension, just a small one on there, and that small extension took away the torque of the gun and wouldn't break the lug nuts loose. And even when I set the tires, I'd set the car back on the ground and tried to use the weight of the car. When I used my breaker bar, I would still drive the tire over the concrete. It would just spin, which is a smooth surface, so I see why, but it wouldn't grip. So I took the extension off and was able to break them loose. I just had to be extra cautious not to let the impact scuff the wheel, which it didn't, so we're good. But so now I'm gonna take this suspension loose, get the spring out of there, get the tie rod end off for the steering rack. Then I'm going to unbolt the steering rack, power steering pump, pull them to the front of the car, and then I got finished pulling the K-member brace for that these verts have, and then drive shaft shifter, and I'm gonna try to drop her out the bottom. So here we go. So all I did there was just remove the collar pin, do a little WD, and kind of helps loosen them threads and gets the castle nut to come off a little easier. And always fully lock out the wheel, whichever one you're doing, to the outside, so you can get a good hit on that knuckle to bust that tie rod loose. Be extra cautious, of course, you don't hit nothing right here. This is gold right here, so avoid the gold. Just hit it nice and firm. A bigger hammer would always help as well, like one with a lot of weight behind it. I'm gonna pull this inner fender liner out here in a little bit, but I want to get this spring out first. But I'm gonna secure this up just for now, one way, and then I'm gonna redo it another way once I get the liner out. Right there. That'll keep that out of the way. Now, put some pressure on that lower control arm. Both out. May have to persuade this just a little bit. There's that right there, all loose. Oh, that's enough right there. Keep an eye on that ABS. Good. I'm just going to reassemble it loosely just to keep it from all dangling around. The reason you do this is because there's two bolts right here on the other side for the K-member to drop it out. Alright, so there's that right there. I'm going to go along the list until I get it all apart. all you got is a clip up here, 2 clips under the rocker molding, and a clip there, and then 2 screws on opposing ends. So, unfortunately, on the driver's side manifold, whoever installed the X-pipe cross-threaded the nut. So for them to even out the gap, they put a bunch of washers on the X-pipe where it bolts up to the manifold. So I can't get that nut off, so I had to just separate. Luckily it's got these sleeves. I think it's Bassani. So I just unbolted the cat from the sleeve there. So what I'll do is when I get the engine out, it's not a big deal, but once I get the engine out, I'll just cut the nut with the grinder and bust the nut in half, and we should get that off. But I'm not even really worried about that, but I'm just wanting to get the exhaust mostly out of the way so I can get the drive shaft, but we're getting there. Alright, Rod, here's you an update, buddy. So I've got the passenger suspension out. We got the motor mount nut out, so that's freed up. Same thing on the driver's side. Motor mount nut out. K-member, steering rack bolts are out, so I can just pop the rack off. I've got the brace off. The convertibles have a K-member brace that's sitting right there. That's the brace. So I got that off. I got your exhaust off. Somebody, whoever put this X-pipe on that was on here, cross-threaded the nut. So I had to pull it off and leave that part of the flange on. But what I'm going to do is when I get the motor, I'm just going to cut the nut off, so it'll save all of that. I got the drive shaft off, which was a pain in my butt, but I got it. So basically, what I'm going to do now is I got a buddy at work who's got a engine brace, and it just sets right here, goes across the engine, and it sets on the other side, and it holds the engine up. I'm gonna hold the engine up with it, unbolt the K-member, and then pull the K-member out, and then I'm just going to drop the engine down on the ground and pick the car up and pull the engine out. So it's pretty much there now. Literally all I gotta do is there's 4 bolts that hold the 2 on each side that hold the cross member in for the transmission, and the engine can just come out right now as is, just come out. So it's there. So unfortunately I have to go clean up and go to a baby shower, but I managed to get quite a bit done this morning. It's just difficult up and down on your back working, you know. This is what I've used so far to do what I've done, but up and down, like I said, that bolt strip, so I fought it for a little bit and I just gave up and pulled the sleeve off of the pipe. But I got the shifter out there don't know if you can see it that good. The bezels in the floor. All your parts are right here. And you got your transmission there with the bell housing. This is your old X-pipe. It's your drive shaft, your new one. That's a bunch of stuff that dude sent us when he dropped off the engine. But overall, I'm pretty happy. Like I said, hopefully I have some time to come down the next week or so and get the engine actually out. I'm going to get that thing from that guy from work tomorrow, and I'm going to go from there, buddy. So, there's your little update.